But right now I'm only at 1,880 Swiss francs. Ciao, I'm Mario, a Swiss car guy, and today I'm back in my Lexus and I am giving you a little update on my whole I'm a criminal because I was caught speeding situation, and I have received everything now. So all the fines, everything I have to pay, and it's quite a lot. And if you read the title of this video and seen the thumbnail, you will probably see quite a high number, like 5,400 Swiss francs, which is about $5,500 US. But you will also have noticed that there is a little asterisk next to the number. Of course there is, because I don't have to pay 5,400 Swiss francs. It's a bit less. And I'll explain to you why. Because in Switzerland there is something that's called a monetary punishment, which is different from a fine. You see, a fine is something you get for a minor offense. Fines have to be paid, they cannot be put out on probation, and usually you can fight them, but it's never worth it in Switzerland. A monetary punishment is usually a higher punishment, it's more money, but it can be given out, and often is given out, on probation. In my case, I received a monetary punishment and a fine. So I received both, and the logic for this is that usually when you get a monetary punishment, you will also get an accompanying fine, because monetary punishments are often given out on probation. And if it's given out on probation, it means that if you don't misbehave during 2 years after receiving the punishment, you don't have to pay it. But that would be sort of unfair to somebody who committed a lesser offense and only received a fine, because they had to pay their fine, even if it was just a couple of $100 or something like that. But you, although you received a higher punishment, like in the thousands, because it's on probation, you never have to pay it. So as a general practice, the government will usually give you a fine, which is about a quarter of your monetary punishment in addition to your monetary punishment. So at least you have to pay something. And in my case, the fine is 880 Swiss francs. Of course, fines and monetary punishments are not everything, because there's also fees. In this case, the fees for the punishment were 300 Swiss francs. And because the police was involved when they stopped me and made me lose 2 hours of my life, I have to pay their fees as well. That's an additional 350 Swiss francs. But that's not all, because I also had a license suspension. And that procedure also generated fees, so that's another 350 Swiss francs. So all in all, I'm at 1,880 Swiss francs that I have to pay. I don't count on screwing up again in the next 2 years, so that's hopefully all I have to pay. And now you might think, well, you know, almost 2 grand for speeding a bit. I mean, I was doing 138 kph on a motorway, on an empty motorway, on a straight motorway, but doesn't matter. It was 100 zone there, so yeah, okay. 3 months driver's license suspension, 1,880 francs altogether as fines and fees. And to be honest, I mean, I'm not happy with it, obviously, but it's, I think, less than it should have been. In Switzerland, going 38 kph over the limit on a motorway, even if it was straight and deserted, it's basically the equivalent of, you know, raping a child or something like that. So with 1,880 Swiss francs, I got off quite easily, I think. Especially since monetary punishments in Switzerland are calculated based on income. And I think in my case, they calculated way too low. I was expecting to have to pay about almost twice as much. Therefore, I am a bit, you know, incredulous that it's so low, and you might laugh, but I was expecting having to pay a lot more than that. I expected millions. So at least I got lucky in that regard. But yeah, the message is still the same: don't speed in Switzerland. I guess it should be don't speed anywhere, but I know. I mean, what's the fun in that, you know? There's the old saying that crime doesn't pay, and in my case, it might have paid the government, but for me, it has been quite costly. And has it taught me anything? Yeah, be more careful. But other than that, I mean, it's almost impossible not to get caught speeding again. And it's not that I'm, you know, a crazy speeder, that I speed on intention, but alone on my commute to work, and that's about 20 kilometers, it's not that long, there are about 30 speed cameras. So it doesn't really take you to be intentionally speeding. You could just lose track of your speed for a minute and be caught in their trap. So yeah, I hope next time I get caught, it's not that bad. At least here in Switzerland, it's something I see as part of the cost of motoring. It's like an additional tax. It's from time to time, you're just gonna get a fine, you're just gonna get caught. And in my case, it looks like every 10 years, I lose my driver's license and have to pay a bit of a higher fine than usually. So yeah, not the greatest experience, but hey, at least now you know that in Switzerland, you can get really, really high punishments for relatively minor speeding offenses. But that is Switzerland. Personally, I still wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I still love this country, even if it costs me an arm and a leg. And well, you know, in this case, while I didn't have my license, I had my little accident on the bicycle, so it ended up costing me almost more than an arm and a leg, a few ribs and a collarbone, but at least the healthcare was basically free after that. So there's at least that. So what was your biggest punishment for a traffic offense? And I don't mean just monetary, it could also be jail time or something like that. Please leave a comment down below, because I really want to know if I'm the biggest loser in this regard, or if somewhere on the planet there is somebody who's even worse off than me. You know how they say shared pain is like halved pain. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more criminal activities and more insights into the Swiss car ownership system, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And I think I've talked way too long already, so thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.